Greetings to all. This is Gomati, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering in a Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. In this lecture video, we are going to discuss about few application layer protocols, a topic from computer networks. In this video, we are going to discuss about a few application layer protocols, namely DHCP, HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, TFTP, SFTP, and Telnet. In the upcoming slides, we can have the basic ideas about each and every application layer protocols one by one. The first thing is DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So why we need the dynamic host configuration protocol? Before that, we are having so many address configuration protocols, namely ARP and RARP, Address Resolution Protocol, and Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. So we are having these things. Why we are go for using the DHCP? So this is a question mark, right? So if you are go for those kind of ARP and RARP, those and all static in nature. But if you go for using the DHCP, we can configure the um, host in a network dynamically. So then we have to know what is the need of the dynamic host configuration. So when a host moving from a network to a network, so when a host is moving from the older network to the new network, so it has to disconnect from the older network and it has to be attached with the new network. On that time of preference, we may require the dynamic host configuration protocol. So the remaining available configuration protocols like ARP and RARP, those are all static in nature. That's why this DHCP is preferred mostly. So and also this DHCP having the ability of executing both manually and automatic. So what about the static address allocation and dynamic address allocation? As I said, a client can request a address from a DHCP server statically. So when the host is being permanent in a network, it will be allocated with the static address from the DHCP server, right? So first of all, we have to know what is the address allocation. So if you are, that is the mapping of physical address to the logical address. That is known as the address allocation. So what about the static address allocation? So statically. So if a particular host is being in a network permanently, it will be allocated with the particular logical address when the execution gets started in the network. So if you come for the dynamic address allocation, dynamically when the logical address is needed, when it is required. So as I said, what might be the situation of this dynamic address allocation is moving of the host from one network to the another network. So it has to disconnect from the earlier network and it has to connect with the new network with a new logical ID. So for this kind of scenario, we may require the dynamic address allocation. For this kind of situation, DHCP will be the best suited. Next one is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So we know that we are using so many websites, those and all built using the HTTP, obviously. But we have to know what is the World Wide Web. So World Wide Web is nothing the collection of websites. So websites are nothing collection of pages. So how those web pages are going to be built upon? So using the HTML. So hypertext transfer protocol, using the hypertext transfer protocol, these HTML pages will be transmitted between the client and the server. From the client side, the request will be made to the server. The server is going to reply accordingly. Okay, so the data is going to be accessed using the browser at the client side. Okay, so usually this HTTP will function with FTP and SMTP, file transfer protocol and simple mail transfer protocol. So how the HTTP transaction can be happened? Simply the request and response paradigm. So this can be considered as the client. This will be the server. From the client side, the request will be made to the server. Then the server will search for the result and it will respond to the client accordingly. So simple request and reply paradigm HTTP is used. So what will be the content of the request message and response message? So the first thing, it will contains the request line, then the header, and after a blank line it will consist of the body of the request. Okay, so this will be the some skeleton of the request message. So what about the response message? So here we will have the status line. What about the status of the requested URL or www pages, those and all. So then header will be provided. After a blank line, body of the reply message will be there. Okay. Next one is the HTTP. Yes. So here this is the a secured version of HTTP. So HTTP, yes. Here this S stands for the secure. Hypertext Transfer Protocol, secure. Okay. This is the secured version of HTTP. Okay. So here we'll have some encryption and decryption will be there in the HTTP. Yes. Okay. How this HTTPS is working, or we can compare the HTTP with the HTTPS. So simply this HTTP will going to transfer the request from the client to the server and response from the server to the client. But in case of the HTTPS, we'll have the encryption and decryption additionally. The connection will be the encrypted one. So it should contains the SSL certificate, secured socket layer certificate. So by this only we can have all those content transmissions between the client and the server will be the secured one. High level of authorized and integrity, all those things can be achieved using the HTTPS when compared to the HTTP. So here in the client side, um, so all the connections are going to be made in a connection oriented form. Okay. So next one is um, TFTP, Trivial File Transfer Protocol. Okay, so this is a simple protocol used for transferring files. So it is use the UDP format of transferring the file from one system to the another system. Okay, so usually for read and write files or mails from a remote server, we might use the TFTP. From a remote server to access here or read or write the files or mails from a remote server, we have to use the trivial file transfer. Okay. So next variation of the FTP is Secured File Transfer Protocol, SFTP. Okay. So this is a secured version of FTP. Okay. So definitely we have to include this secure shell data stream will be additionally included to the FTP. So we can achieve SFTP. So next one is the telnet. Okay, terminal network. So why we require the telnet? So to log in from a remote system, so we might require the telnet protocol. To access the file from remote server or remote host, we might require the TFTP. To log in to a local server from a remote system, we might require the telnet for the remote login. Okay. So where and all this telnet can be applied. So simply for the client server application, require the telnet. Okay, how the telnet is working. So for the local logging, how the telnet is working. Okay, simply from the application programs using the terminal driver, we might log into the host. Okay, if you go for the remote logging using the telnet, so how it is working. Okay, so through the internet, we might have to log in from the local terminal to the remote server. So then three different modes of operation is available in the telnet. Okay, so namely default mode, character mode, and line mode. Okay, what about the default mode? So this is just like the echo. So the echoing is done by the client to the server. So whatever which is going to be typed in the a client side will be echoed by the client in the server machine. Okay, in the case of the default mode. In case of the character mode, so which is going to be reflected in the server side by the client machine by character echoing. So each character typed in the client machine will be transmitted and reflected in the server machine. Okay. Then the third mode of operation is the line mode. So line by line. So line editing will be carried out by the client in the server. So I hope you have understood a few basic concepts about the application layer protocols, namely FTP, DHCP, SFTP, SFTP, Telnet, those and all. So in the upcoming videos, we can have few more core concepts in the computer science and engineering department. Thank you.